Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles. Today we bring the story of a man who messages his wife's affair partner and beats the hell out of him. Let's get on with the story. My name's not important, but let's call me Luke. My wife, let's call her Debbie, and I have shared 8 years of marriage. Like any couple, we've had our fair share of ups and downs. But a few months ago, things took an unexpected turn. I started noticing Debbie acting strangely protective of her phone like never before. It was like an extension of her, glued to her hand even in the bathroom. Late-night texting sessions became the norm, and she'd often slip into bed after I was already asleep. I tried to convince myself it was work stress or a new hobby, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. Eventually, suspicion got the better of me, and I found myself snooping through her messages one night while she was in the shower. I know, snooping isn't the noblest thing to do, but desperate times call for desperate measures. What I discovered shattered my world: explicit messages and pictures exchanged with a guy named Mark. Anger and heartbreak surged within me, but I needed a plan before confronting her. I wanted answers, and I wanted to ensure she couldn't talk her way out of it. There was also this burning desire to confront Mark, but I knew violence wasn't the answer. That's when a risky idea formed in my mind: invite her lover over using her own Messenger account. The next day, while she was at work, I logged into her Messenger account. Knowing she'd be at the movies with her sister and her kids that evening provided the perfect opportunity. I signed in and made sure to log out of all other devices so she wouldn't discover the conversation I was about to have with Mark. I messaged him, pretending to be Debbie, pouring out feelings I never thought I'd express. I told him how much I missed him and that I wanted to see him that night. It was a risky move, and deep down, I questioned the wisdom of my actions, but the need for answers and closure pushed me forward. After setting up the whole bizarre plan to catch my cheating wife and her affair partner in the act, things took an unexpected turn. Mark, the guy she'd been involved with, seemed more than willing to go along with my scheme. I gave him instructions on how to sneak into our house through the side door, undress down to his underwear, and head straight to the bedroom where I'd be waiting. It was a twisted sense of satisfaction as I hit send, erasing all the messages afterward to cover my tracks. As I waited for the evening to unfold, I decided to dig into this Mark character a bit more. Turns out, he was married too. I tucked that piece of information away, thinking it might come in handy later. On the night of the showdown, I parked my car a few blocks away and sneaked back home, making sure to leave the side door unlocked. I didn't want Mark seeing my vehicle and getting suspicious. Positioned in the bedroom, hidden in the shadows, I braced myself for what was about to happen. Finally, I heard the side door open, and footsteps approached. My heart pounded as Mark entered the bedroom, following my instructions to the T. Without wasting a moment, I burst out of the shadows, yelling at the top of my lungs, "What the hell are you doing in my house?" Mark jumped in surprise, panic on his face as he tried to cover himself with his hands. I didn't give him a chance to respond. Fueled by rage, I lunged forward, our bodies collided with a thud, and the room echoed with the sounds of a struggle. I could feel the heat of my own rage as I landed punch after punch, beating the crap out of him. He tried to fight back, but my intensity overwhelmed him. Amidst the chaos, I could hear grunts and the occasional plea for mercy. After a few minutes, I stepped back, leaving him battered and bruised on the floor. I pretended not to know who he was, yelling about him breaking into my home and trying to attack me. The whole time, our home surveillance system recorded everything. At that point, I called the police, showing them the footage of Mark entering our home and claiming ignorance about who he was or why he was there. The police arrived promptly, taking Mark into custody on charges of trespassing and assault. He remained silent throughout the ordeal, likely too shocked and confused to mount any defense, especially in front of me. Perhaps admitting the real reason for his presence, connected to my wife, was a truth he preferred to keep to himself. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on me, and I couldn't help but chuckle internally at the absurdity of it all. Later that night, when Debbie returned home, I played it cool. I casually asked her about her evening, letting her take in the disarray of our bedroom. Her confusion was apparent as she demanded an explanation for the chaos. Seizing the moment, I began recounting the strange and unexpected events of my night. As I narrated the story of the half-naked intruder who had broken into our home, her eyes widened in fear. I showed her the surveillance footage, the video of the confrontation, and her feigned surprise and horror amused me. Despite her attempts to act oblivious, I could sense she knew exactly who the intruder was. Detecting her nervousness, I asked if she knew the intruder based on her reaction. She denied any knowledge, but her constant glances at the screen betrayed her discomfort. I pressed on, emphasizing how the intruder seemed familiar with our home, effortlessly finding his way to our bedroom. The psychological pressure was taking its toll, and I could see her defenses breaking down. I continued the mind game, mentioning the intruder's name, Mark, and elaborating on how he was taken to jail for trespassing after our confrontation. I told my wife about looking up Mark, how he was married, and that I needed to call his wife to find out more. She got visibly nervous, desperately trying to dissuade me, insisting we wouldn't learn anything useful. But my gut feeling pushed me to press on. I grabbed my phone, pretending it suddenly occurred to me to call Mark's wife. I started navigating through Facebook, planning to send her a message. That's when my wife finally broke down. Tears streaming down her face, she confessed everything: the affair, the lies, the betrayal. She claimed she didn't want to involve Mark's wife, thinking it would make things worse. It was too late for that. I messaged Mark's wife immediately, revealing the painful truth about the affair. I showed the message to my wife and coldly told her to pack her things and get out. The trust one had in her was shattered beyond repair. The next day, I filed for divorce. My wife pleaded with me, but forgiveness was a bridge too far. The pain ran too deep. Soon after, I got a call from Mark's wife. He had deleted all the incriminating messages, but he eventually confessed to her about the reason for breaking into our house. It was a relief knowing there was no direct connection to me, at least in their eyes. Mark, facing legal consequences, was still dealing with the fallout of his actions. As for me, I'm focused on moving on from this nightmare, working on starting a new chapter in my life. The fun part of the story is over, and now it's about finding peace and healing. This has been hell for me, but I hope sharing it might provide someone with a bit of entertainment or insight. Good day. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section below. Dear listener, if you have reached this far, please click on the subscribe button. It will be a great help.